Welcome back. We left you as we were hurtling around the sand dunes of Namibia. We're leaving the coast now, heading back inland, heading for the Fish River Canyon. The second largest canyon in the world, apparently. Although that might be a bit like probably the best lager in the world. You never know. So it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, sometime in May. And the temperature is
1 degree.
And we're going to have a cold bum for the first hour or so. We had the luxury of tar for the first while, then on to 200 kilometres of sand and gravel. That was a bit more interesting and a lot more scary. Filled up with pastry, cakes and coffee, we were off again heading for the Canyon Lodge. Not a lot of water running today. You could be forgiven for thinking this was a village left over from the remains of an avalanche or an earthquake. But no, it's little cottages nestling in amongst the 1.5 billion year old rocks. And it was really quite special. All the little lodges are parked in amongst the sandstone and granite boulders. It's beautiful. Zach thought he'd do a bit of mountaineering to get a better view of the sunset. Scared himself witless, I think. Next morning we got up at dawn for some photos and then hastened back quickly to the fire.
Zach is dressed as a tourist this morning.
Yep.
As are everybody else. We're the only ones going on the bike.
Sometimes I wonder, sometimes the other guys.
Reception of the Fish River Canyon.
Oh, gee. Thanks, buddy.
Fish River Canyon. And I'm standing on the edge and I'm not very comfortable.
And as it turns out, like Carlsberg, it is probably the second largest canyon in the world. You can hike the trail. It takes about 5 days of scrambling over boulders and wading through sand, but at least there's water to drink. Sometimes. And a bit like the central lowlands of Scotland, the canyon was formed when the land here slipped between the two fault lines. And then the river started running and chewed it all up. That's a geographic term. So before Anne makes a break for freedom, time to get her saddled up and head on back out towards the coast and down towards the Cedarburg Mountains. So, having crossed the Orange River, we were back in South Africa. Back to the mountains. We'd only driven about 6,000 kilometres to get back to the mountains that were 100k from the boat. But there you go. More paperwork, COVID tests, and we were heading for Okip for the night. And imagine this, in the late 1800s, Okip was the largest copper mining town in the world. The beam pump in the background came all the way from Cornwall, ran for about 50 years. Then the mine closed because the guys didn't have the geologic expertise to find out where the seam went. The Australians are putting that right just now. They've invested in the mine and there's hope of it reopening soon. Great news for the locals. After a night in Okip, we head for Clanwilliam into the Cedarburg Mountains. But I'm afraid I have to say on the trip we weren't the best of teammates because we quite like to go off on our own, and we did that quite a few times to the consternation of the leaders and the group. But Darryl, conscientious leader that he was always looking out for us, stop at junctions and wait for us to catch up. And I'm afraid at this point he stood up on these pegs to have a look around to see where are the lettings and hit a rock. He took a tumble. Zach shot over the top of him and into the bushes. Fortunately, no one was hurt. We were a bit embarrassed, and guys, if you're watching this, we're really sorry. Later that afternoon, we made it through Clanwilliam onto Citrusdale to the hot springs, where we languished in the natural springs. Bit too cold to go into the swimming pool though. Next morning, the group were heading for Oatshoorn, about 550 kilometres away. Now, we've been to Oatshoorn about 4, maybe 5 times, so once again, we went off on our own and we got a bit lost. Oh look, if this road holds like this all the way to Swellendam, we've won a watch. Look, tar all the way. Oops. We'd stumbled on the Middleburg Pass, and that was one of the most impressive of the passes we've done. Just stunning scenery everywhere. And having done about, 5 to 10,000 kilometres on this stuff, over the months we were a lot happier on it. But if only we'd had decent tyres, we could have gone a bit faster and not kept you waiting. But stick with it, the scenery is lovely. And finally we made it back to the Tar. Our plan was to meet the team down at Agulhas, and my plan had been to finish this movie and get to Cape Town by now, but we're hitting 10 minutes and that's longer than most people can manage of my stuff, apparently, according to Google statistics. So we're going to nail it here. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back for the final section, short section through to Cape Town, and we might even take you out on the boat and show you the new sails. Thanks for watching. And if you did like it, don't forget, dudes, smash that like button. In fact, smash it, whether you liked it or not, because I need the numbers.